Well, good evening and thank you for watching Metropole Sports Center. My name is Nashon Oano. Thank you for finding time this wonderful Friday evening for watching the show. The past few months have been a very tough time for the betting industry in Kenya. There's been a whole conversation about responsible betting and the effects of betting in the country to both individuals and to young people in the country. Now today in studio I'm joined by Leon Kiptum, the country manager for Betway Kenya, to talk about responsible betting and also to shed more light about what Betway is doing in the country. Well, welcome to studio, Leon.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for finding time.
Asante.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rumor has it that a couple of years back you were in this particular flow.
Very interesting, actually. It's quite nostalgic because this we had a whole team of more than 300, 400 people here when Barclays Bank began its direct sales team in 2006.
Okay.
And I was part of that team. So it's interesting that I'm here after close to 13 years.
Okay. You are home.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it feels
pretty much,
right.
Yeah, it's obviously changed. It's now a studio. It's completely different from what it was.
13 years is pretty much a long time, you know.
Pretty much, yes,
yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's quickly dive into the conversation. I think our viewers would like to understand about Betway, what you guys are about, what operations that you guys are involved in, and something of the sort. Could you kindly take us through what Betway is about?
So Betway obviously is a multinational, a sports, a gaming company to begin with, and we offer a variety of entertainment options that cover sports betting, casino, virtuals, bet games, an array of solutions for people who just want to entertain themselves from a gaming perspective. We currently have been in Kenya since 2016, so just about 3.5 years from the time we opened our doors to for business in Kenya. And Kenya was actually the first market for Africa, because as a brand, Betway has been in existence since 2006 actually. So it's a fairly old brand, but mostly in Europe, in South America. But now, when it comes to Africa, Kenya was the first market in 2016, but we are now operating in 6 other markets in Africa. So after Kenya, we went into Uganda. We've got Ghana. We've got South Africa, of course, Nigeria, Zambia, and we are now just getting into Mozambique. Okay.
Yeah. It's interesting that whenever people talk about betting, their minds are automatically zoned into football. And you've mentioned something to do with the casino.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's also casino betting as such. How popular is it compared to football and other?
It's quite popular. The only thing right now, the challenge, of course, that we have as a brand is that we're not offering casino at the moment, because we're in discussions with the revenue authority to understand how to tax casino. So as soon as we have that leveled out, we shall be back to offering a casino. But it's very popular. It's very niche as well. It's not everybody's product. Okay. It's not followed as much as football, of course. However, those who enjoy casino, whether land-based or online, are pretty much very engrossed in what they want to enjoy in terms of the games, because you've got your tables, you've got your slots, you have an array of things you can enjoy within that offering. Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned a discussion about taxing and the revenue authority. I think we're going to be picking up that conversation.
Yeah, we'll pick it up later
on in the evening.
Yeah.
Later on in the interview. So probably you could tell us what are some of probably the charity events that you guys are involved in. I remember that you were in Dandora a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe you could take us through what exactly were you guys doing in Dandora at the time.
So I'll start with Dandora and probably just go into what we do as a whole from a charity perspective. So obviously, being a sports betting entity, we are stakeholders in sports. So that definitely makes us responsible from that perspective to do what we can to support whatever we can around sports. So we've got a couple of initiatives. One of them is community sports development, and this for us is really just to say that there are underprivileged communities that cannot afford basic things like kits, training gear, boots, and all that. And that pretty much curtails their ability to develop the talent that they have within them. And that's where we come in. So in the way that we can, if the proposal is good, we definitely come in. There are very many initiatives that we've run over the last 3 years. Some of them are have never even been publicized. So they're pretty much in the communities that we have gone into. Because when you go deep mashinani, it's highly likely that we'll get you and your TV crew to come there and cover the event. But we still go and support the communities that we can. The Dandora initiative, this year, for example, we've had 2 huge activities around charity. The first one, of course, was, I'll finish with Dandora. The first one was Al Swafa. I don't know whether you know Al Swafa Football Club. It's the oldest club in Kibera, and it has been there since the 70s. Okay. So when we had a discussion with Bashir and the rest of the team in Kibera, we realized something, that they're the oldest club. They play in the regional league, but theirs has been the thing that has been driving them is not even to get to the bigger leagues, but to really give these kids an opportunity to learn, to develop their talent. Once they're out of high school, they're over 18, they're beginning to play football as a career, to nurture that talent. So we came in, we donated some kits, but the other thing that we did is we renovated their community hall. And the reason we did that is because they told us that they use the community hall to generate income. So it's one of the things that we keep telling the clubs in this country. If you have a way of sustaining yourselves beyond depending on sponsors like ourselves, tell us what we can do to help you to grow that, so that you're able to generate your own income and actually build your team without necessarily waiting for someone to come in. Where we can come in, we will come in. So that was Al Swafa earlier in the year. The other one that now you've talked about is Dandora. Dandora is an initiative that we intend to carry beyond Dandora. We were actually introduced to Dandora by Kariobangi Sharks, incidentally, because a lot of the players who are in the Sharks team are actually guys from D. And of course, D and Kariobangi are not too far. And obviously, the founders of Kariobangi Sharks also sort of grew up that side of town. So the whole idea was, it was initiated, or it was actually conceptualized when we learned about a team called Hakati Sportif, where one of their players actually died on the pitch because he could not get emergency medical care. He basically got a concussion. No one knew what to do. I mean, if someone knew basic first aid, they'd have been able to help the guy. So this happened at Camp Toyoyo. So when we had Hakati's story, we partnered with St. John Ambulance and said, why don't these teams cannot afford, the teams on the ground, grassroots, cannot afford to have a team medical doctor. They're not like Sharks and Gore and the rest of the teams. They can't afford. But the others, because they have sponsors, they can afford to have a team doctor. These guys don't have a physician. So something happens, it's left to their own. They have to do something. So we brought in all the technical benches of all these teams. There were 16 teams in Dandora, so 17 including Hakati, because the story came from Hakati. And we trained their entire teams on how to offer basic first aid on different things, whether it's a concussion, it's a sprain, anything, just to make sure that if something happens on the pitch, someone in the team or someone in the technical bench can quickly come and be able to do something. So St. John Ambulance took them through a 2-day training. We intend to do that across other stadia. So this was for Dandora Stadium and the teams that play in Dandora Stadium. You've got, so you can see Dandora Stadium has 16 teams. There are different stadiums with many other numbers of teams. Camp Toyoyo, I think there are more than almost 20 teams that play there. If you go to Woodley, the Woodley Stadium in Kibera, there are 14 teams that play there. And the story goes on and on and on. So it's an initiative we intend to carry because really it's something that is important. Simple emergency medical care that people cannot be able to do on the pitch during a game. So that was the motivation behind the Dandora initiative.
So you mentioned something about the whole training and in Dandora and everything. So how was the reception from the teams that you conducted this program with?
You know, initially, because this was simply something that we picked out from Hakati Sportif, we didn't think much of it until we were on the ground. And you know the common thing in Kenya right now, we took our ground in different. So when we got to the ground is when we realized it's something that they were actually waiting for. Can someone just tell us what to do, how to go about this? And it's interesting because when St. John Ambulance heard about what we were intending to do, because we called them and we asked them, you guys are experts in this, first aid. Can you partner with Betway and let's see what we can do? They came in and they said, okay, let's train them. The advantage is the guys who were trained now have an access card to any football stadium in this country, and if anything happens, they have the right to get in and help.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned so much about Kariobangi Sharks. Let's talk about your partnership with Kariobangi Sharks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So very interesting. I don't know what you want to know because it's such a broad
I mean the
discussion.
motivation behind Kariobangi Sharks. I mean, there are so many teams in the league, but out of all those teams that are there, you single out
Sharks.
like, we are going to sponsor Kariobangi Sharks.
Okay.
Yeah.
True to it, first of all, this is the first KPL club that we have put our name on their shirt. So it was a journey, to be honest. And this journey began, obviously, a few years ago when we said, what are we going to do in Kenya? But the journey has been to really just identify that team that has the values that resonate and align with our values as a brand, and I'll tell you what those are. And the other thing was structure of accountability.
Okay.
Those were the two motivations. Now, one of the biggest challenges we've had as far as teams in Kenya are concerned is accountability, to be honest. And you'll find because these clubs are registered as societies, what happens is there is a board who pretty much elected themselves. There is a secretariat that has no teeth. And when money comes into the club, literally no one can account for how that money has been used.
Yeah.
Players are complaining, whatnot. That's not good for a brand like ours to come into that kind of turmoil. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
we've had that conversation of
yes.
this money has been disbursed, but we can't see where it
so
is
at the end of the
actually
day,
gone.
the brand suffers because you've literally put your money into a wrangle.
Yeah.
And that's all good. So when we began the search to say, we're going to sponsor a team in the KPL, the first question we ask ourselves, how are they structured? Kariobangi Sharks is the only team in the league that is registered as a limited company. That was one of the first things we picked out. We've not come across any. If there's any, they can let us know.
Okay.
But as it is right now, when we looked at the registration format, Sharks was registered like that. They have a board and they have a management team who can be held accountable.
Okay.
Which means that if we wanted to look at their books of accounts and how they spend money, they're auditable.
Okay.
And they have been audited. They showed us their audited books of accounts and said, okay, you guys have a clear budget. You know exactly what you want to do and where you want to go. So that was an easy decision from a financial perspective. The other thing was the values. I know Sharks has been accused of this. It has been accused as the team that brings in players, nurtures them quickly, then sells them off.
Yeah. It's more of a business.
So they've been accused of making it a business. But to be honest, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because if you look at where those guys Sharks has nurtured have gone, they're doing very well.
Yeah.
There are quite a number of people who they have nurtured, they're doing very well. If you look at their vision right now, they want to see how many, they have a target of how many players they can nurture in the next 3 years and ship to Europe.
Nice.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I mean, look at what our guy did in the other day, 8 goals in one game.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the stories we want to hear about Kenyans doing out there. And if there's a club that can be able to nurture that kind of talent and take it out, where they get on the world stage and they begin to get recognized for their talent, then that's a team to partner with. So that was a strong value for us, that they want to nurture talent. When they introduced us to Dandora, for example, and said, we are concerned about the 16 teams in Dandora. As a club, we can't do much. But Betway, if you come in and partner with St. John Ambulance, you can do this. So that's a value for them, because they have not forgotten where they started. Because they actually started in that stadium in Dandora.
Before it was renovated and everything.
Before, when it was Maram.
Yeah. I've been there a couple of times.
Yeah,
I mean,
but actually started in the basketball court right next over there. The one when they used to play football on concrete. So if you look at their journey, an 18-year journey that is solid, it can be told. It has been told. I think they won the Films Award the other day, Sports Films Award the other day, for the documentary on their journey. And their journey is clear. You can see where this club came from, what they stand for, what they want to do, where they're going. If you look at the teams we sponsor across the world, look at West Ham, look at Levante, look at the teams in Ghana and the rest of it, because Sharks is the 10th team to sponsor for us in Africa. Okay. So we've got 9 teams in other countries already. We didn't go for the number 1 team in the league. We went for the team that had certain values. Okay. West Ham has never been even in the top 4 for the time we have sponsored it. Yeah. However, whether they are yes, a mid-table team, but they represent the brand the way we'd want the brand represented. And I think that's what we saw in Sharks. Okay.
Interesting that you mentioned West Ham, because that's where my next question is going to go to. I mean, your partnership with West Ham, Tottenham Hotspurs, what does that actually mean for football lovers in the country?
Let's be honest with each other, first of all. EPL is literally the biggest football stage in the world. Yeah. It's not just about Kenya.
It's actually one of the most watched.
And it's also one of the most entertaining, to be honest. I hope you watched last night.
Yeah, I did.
We had a good run.
I expected Mourinho to win, but anyway.
No, I think you play for the other side. So. But we were happy that Mourinho did not embarrass us at home. Okay. That tells you my allegiances already. Yeah. So the whole idea of having, first of all, West Ham is obviously, a lot of it is about the UK market, to be honest. West Ham is literally a neutral, very neutral team. You know, it's a West London team. It's very easy to work with their brand because of what it represents. Tottenham, however, we are the official betting partner for Tottenham in Africa. Official partner for Tottenham in Africa, and again, it's also the same thing. Tottenham has quite a significant chunk of Africans who have passed through that team or are in the team at the moment. We are lucky that as Kenya, we've got Wanyama still in there. Yeah. We have no idea how long he's going to be there.
Yeah, actually, at the beginning of the season, there was a bit of...
There's a bit of a ruffle. Yeah. Is he going to go back to Celtic and whatnot, all that stuff? He was a star in Celtic when he was there. So we don't know. But in terms of just that representation, the flair that they come with, how they play and everything, it's a question of visibility for us from that sense as well. But for Kenya, the truth is EPL. I'm not too sure whether we will love our local league as much as we do the EPL at the moment. But again, it's about the standards. It's about the standards. I would love to see a day where the standards for KPL are so high that international broadcasters want to sponsor and put money into it. That level would be good. The onus is on the KPL guys and the FKF guys to really work towards that goal. Because there are leagues in Africa that are really good. Yeah.
Now, I'm pretty sure for the ordinary Mwananchi who's watching the show, they've seen buses printed Betway. Yeah. What does being a betting partner exactly mean for the ordinary person who's probably watching the show?
Well, specifically for...
you being the official betting partners for Tottenham Hotspurs.
Well, obviously, first it means that we obviously there's the element of sponsorship. We are not their main sponsor, but we are a partner. So from a sponsorship perspective, we're not the shirt sponsor. That is already someone else. But being a partner means that we are able to do to engage in activities together, whether it is promoting from initiatives that we want to do, whether it's promoting community sports. For example, what we are looking at in the future is to have a league, a better league, obviously with the honors of bringing teams like Tottenham for other people, for teams in Kenya to learn from that experience. We hope that we can be able to take Sharks to Spurs, so that they can learn that culture a bit. Take them to West Ham and learn that culture a bit. So part of this partnership is talking to what we want to do with our teams locally. And the fact is, Betway is a UK-based company. That is the origin of Betway. So to be able to bring that experience, that development, the level of development that they have done in their league, in their teams, and bring that experience here to our teams, it's good for us. And it's part of what it means for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now on to the next question. Whenever somebody mentions betting, there's always a tone between question.
Yeah.
Somebody's already thinking about how much is going to lose. Somebody's already thinking about how much is going to win in that particular thing. So in normal times, you find people can never find a middle ground in terms of betting. You've heard of cases where somebody has bet his all money, school fees and stuff like that. So let's talk about responsible betting. Why is it important to practice responsible betting?
Very topical this year specifically. One, I want to state this, that betting is entertainment. It is not a source of living. It is not an income generating activity. It is sports entertainment. That is what it is. The same way you'd go into a bar and buy your beer and drink it and enjoy it, is the same way you should view betting.
Okay.
It is a demerit good. That's the reality. And we don't shy away from talking about that as Betway. We say the truth about what it is. It is entertainment. In any form of entertainment, you should be, first and most important is to be able to pace yourself.
Self-regulate.
To self-regulate.
Yeah.
And that's the message that we keep passing. You need to be able to self-regulate. You need to be able to say that these are my limits. This is what I'm able to do. What I advise people for me at an individual level is bet what you would have used to entertain yourself. In fact, bet what you're willing to lose.
Okay.
If you win, it's a bonus. Yeah? The good thing is that it's always a flip side. You will win some, you will lose some.
Yeah.
But it's your perspective about what it is that matters. Like yesterday, for example, I think most people's money is on Tottenham to beat Manchester.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Man U has not been doing very well. Mourinho is just back. Tottenham has been back with fire for the last few weeks. It was expected. In fact, if you looked at the odds,
It was in
Tottenham
favor of
was the
Tottenham.
favorite.
Yeah.
However, Man U was at home. And they needed to prove a point
Yeah.
that Mourinho was not fired for nothing, you know?
Yeah.
So it's entertainment because I think it's about the thrill of the sport. And if you look at our tagline is for the love of the game, and that's what really is about.
Okay.
It's for the love of the game, it's for the thrill. So responsible betting is about you understanding what is the purpose of gaming in the first place.
Okay.
The purpose of gaming is entertainment. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you as Betway doing to ensure that people are developing a culture of responsible betting?
So we've got a couple of initiatives. The first initiative, of course, is the campaign that we've been running from about half of this year, the second half of this year. And we've had a campaign running called Bet the Responsible Way. It's been running on all our social media pages. It's been running on our platform. Even when you open the Betway page, the first thing you'll find is Bet the Responsible Way. And we have broken that down to what I've actually mentioned. First of all, don't bet what you would have used for other essential activities. To be honest, what you should bet is your surplus, is what you have in excess. Yeah, because that is what you probably would have entertained yourself in whichever way that you would have entertained yourself. So the way we have structured that campaign is to educate the public and tell guys, be responsible about how you utilize the funds that you have when you want to place it in a bet. So that campaign has been running. We've been talking through it. The second thing is that from an internal perspective, we've got a mechanism for you to self opt out. Yeah, and those are the people who are self-aware enough to say, I've gone too far. I've crossed the line here. Let me pace myself.
Okay.
So we give you an option in there that you can opt out. You can take yourself out. You can even call into our call center and say, hey, I need to take a break. Yeah? So we will shut down your account if you do that.
Okay.
If you opt out directly from our platform, we will shut down your account until you're ready to come back.
Okay.
So we give you that option. But the third one is for the guy who cannot stop
or
by himself.
Okay. Or so, call you guys.
Or call us.
Yeah. Because
he thinks he's going to win even if he continue losing.
Yeah.
So what we have is an internal mechanism that monitors especially change of betting behavior. And what we're able to do then is to flag those accounts. And if we flag your account, then we're going to give you a cooling period. Call you and ask you what's going on. You're betting more than you used to. You're losing more than you used to. What's going on? Are you okay? And then probably the other question we'll ask you is do you need to see someone? Do you need to have a conversation?
Counseling or something?
Yes. Do you need to have a conversation with a counselor?
Okay.
And where we can't facilitate, we will facilitate, to be honest. So those are some of the things that we do internally, because we're telling ourselves that because we've realized not everybody will stop themselves. There are those who will literally have to hold on to their accounts and tell them, hey, wait, I think you've gone a bit too far. So unfortunately, we've not been able to blow up the campaign on Bet a Responsible Way. But if you go to our other African countries where we are running, this campaign is running across Africa, you will notice even the billboards that we've put out there. I mean, the sports billboard will put something like a tennis court, and the ball has gone outside the court, and tell you, don't cross the line. Yeah. So we want to continually remind people, don't cross the line. Don't go beyond what you can afford. Yeah. There are those who can bet 1,000 shillings, and there are those who can bet 100 shillings. And there are even those who can bet 10,000 shillings. It's you to be able to determine and say, hey, this is my limit, and this is what I'm ready to put away.
Okay.
Yeah.
So finally, this is a very topical question, very controversial one. The whole of this year we've had the whole conversation about betting and regulation.
Yes.
Yeah. So just maybe from your point of view, how do you think this whole conversation about betting and regulation needs to be handled by the relevant stakeholders in the industry?
Okay. First and foremost, it's a good thing that we have now entered an era in betting where regulation is actually a conversation. It's not, a lot of things are no longer vague. And what has happened this year is that a level playing field has been created for everyone. The same standards are being applied to everyone. So from our perspective as Betway, this is a good thing. And beyond that is we have continually reiterated our commitment to comply and to be compliant. And even at the time when the whole discussion of licensing came up, we were at the forefront of looking at what are these new regulations, what do they say, what do they mean for us as a company, how do we comply, which we did. So in my perspective, it's a good thing for the simple reason that every type of business must be regulated. It must be regulated. I think the only thing that I'll honestly say is I think the approach was a bit off from the regulating bodies, but towards this period of time, I think we have been able to pretty much align and be able to come to a place where we can have a discussion with our regulator about what they feel the industry should be, how it should operate. They have given us new operating requirements when we were signing our new licenses, and it's very clear now that even when you want to advertise, how will you go about it? What is allowed, what is not allowed? So I'm sure you've had a whole discussion of watershed and all that. Yeah. So a lot of these things are clear, and they've given a level playing field for everyone. So nobody is operating outside the law. And if you do, the consequences are known. You probably will wake up the next day and your pay bill is not working. Yeah. But the consequences are known.
Or you shut down business.
Or you shut down business. Or you'll see Leon has been arrested and he's in cuffs because he flaunted some laws. But it's very clear. That level playing field, I think, is a good thing. Of course, some of the measures are a bit punitive, but there are markets in this world that are more regulated than we are.
Okay.
South Africa is an example. Very well regulated. In fact, more regulated than any market in Africa. But you see what that does, and if we get it right, and when we get it right in Kenya, what that does is that it makes business predictable for us. So we can be able to forecast and say that based on how the business environment is currently structured, we can be able to forecast and say, do plans for the long term. We can now be able to do our 3-year plans. The only challenge is when regulations change every day. Something new comes every month. Something new comes every year. When we're looking for licenses afresh, something new. So if it just can stabilize, we want to see what will happen with the gaming bill. Of course, like I said, a few things in there are quite punitive. We've given our views as most of the industry players. But the truth is, a well-regulated industry makes business predictable. And that's exactly what we want to be able to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you, Leon, for stopping by.
Thank you.
Feel free to come to 15th floor anytime you're in town, because this is home for you.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think now you know if you're betting too much, then probably your account might be shut down. Well, that's all we had on this edition of Metropole Sports Center. We'll be back after the break with more on the Events Watch.